Hey everybody, Miss Natalie here. I'm coming to you outside on my porch because our activity today is going to be messy, and this is where I'm choosing to do it. So if you hear birds or cars going by, that's why. So today we're going to talk about praying the Psalms. That's something that the grown-ups have been talking about in church, but that led me to ask, how can we pray the Psalms? So we know, because we've talked about it before, you and me, that the Psalms are a great thing to read because the people in there write about all the feelings that we could possibly have. Happiness, anger, sadness, frustration, confusion. They're all in the Psalms, and that lets us know that we can feel all those feelings in front of God and talk to Him about them. It's wonderful. So, when I pray the Psalms, I like to use really short verses, just a few verses at a time. So that's what we're going to do here. And I'm just going to we're going to talk about a bunch of ways that we can do it. But if you want to follow along with me, we're going to do some stuff while we pray them. Because sometimes we can pray with our words. We can pray just in our minds without saying anything out loud. But we can also pray while we draw or color. So, to get 3 pieces of paper, some stuff to write or color or draw with. It can be one color, it can be a bunch of colors, whatever you want. And this one will be weird. A cup of water. You'll find out why at the end. So, now I'm going to switch my camera so you can see what I'm drawing so we can be drawing together. So, let's get praying. Here's the first verse we're going to use. The Lord is my shepherd, and I am his little lamb. So there are 5 ways that we can pray any verse. Way number 1 is just to repeat it at least like 4 times in the presence of God and just enjoy them. So the Lord is my shepherd, and I am his little lamb. The Lord is my shepherd, and I am his little lamb. The Lord is my shepherd, and I am his little lamb. The Lord is my shepherd, and I am his little lamb. That's kind of a sweet way to do it. So another way is we can ask God to show us something about the passage. We can say something like, "How are you my shepherd? How am I like your little lamb?" We can also thank God for what the verses are about. We can say things like, "Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for knowing me and what I need." We can ask God to do more or give more of what the verses talk about for yourself. We can say things like, "God, I am feeling sad. Please carry me on your shoulders like I'm a little lamb and help me feel better. And we can ask God to do more or give more of what the verses talk about for other people. We can say, God, please take care of my friend or my loved one. You can say their name or write their name. Let her know how much you love her. I hope he feels how much you love him. So there's my first drawing of my first prayer. So get your second page now. Because the verse we used was a very sweet verse. It's one of my favorites. But is it different to pray verses about sadness? How about this one? It says, "Save me, O God, because the floodwaters are up to my neck. Deeper and deeper I sink into the mire. I can't find a foothold. I am in deep water and the floods overwhelm me. I am exhausted from crying for help." So with verses like these, we can still pray any of those 5 ways I talked about before. But it can be harder when the Psalms talk about things, big, huge emotions that we may or may not be feeling at that time. So take your second piece of paper and let's write or draw things that the verses make you think about, or draw or write about the people you're praying about. So there are sort of 2 different ways in these big emotion songs, 2 psalms, 2 additional ways to pray. One is for when you are feeling this way. You can say, God, I feel this way. Things are really, really hard right now. And I'm having a hard time dealing with it. This is what's going on with me. And you can just talk about exactly what's going on. Help me. But there will be times when you will come across a part of a psalm and you do not feel that way at that time. So then you use those words and you pray for other people. So you can say things like, God, please be with all the people who feel this way, who feel like things are so hard right now. Be with people who feel very sad and very frustrated. Somebody I care about feels this way. This is what's going on with them. Please help them. So this is my second drawing. Oh, and I should mention a vocabulary note. It said, deeper and deeper I sink into the mire. And mire is spelled M-I-R-E. And it is a fancy, poetic word for really deep and sticky mud. So there are some other, even harder kinds of verses to pray, and those are violent psalms. And they can feel really awkward to pray. Fun to read, but awkward to pray. Listen to this. Break off their fangs, O God. Smash the jaws of these lions, O Lord. May they disappear like water into thirsty ground. Make their weapons useless in their hands. When they draw the bow, let their arrows fall short. May they be like snails that dissolve into slime. Now, the psalmist is asking God to do this to evil people, to their enemies. I have to admit, for a very long time, I had a hard time even reading some of these psalms. And praying them felt all kinds of wrong. Because really, I try to avoid saying and thinking things that are that mean and violent. It's also true that my life right now is not in physical danger from people. No armies are coming after me. I don't have any people plotting against me. But I also know that that isn't true for everybody. So there are kids and grown-ups who live in places where the government is a danger to them, where groups of people, of criminals, are a danger to them. Some kids even live in families that hurt them. So this helps us know how to pray these kinds of verses. If you don't know of any kids and families in that situation, you could learn about some so that you could pray in more detail verses like this. So we do kind of what we do for the sad psalms for this one too. We do, when you feel this way, God, I am feeling tiny and scared and angry. Protect me from these people who are trying to hurt me. I need you. And when you do not feel this way, you can pray things more like, God, please be with the grown-ups and kids who are in danger. It is hard to know that there are kids like me who are in danger. Please keep them safe. Here's another way, and this is a way that I like to pray some of these really violent verses. I like to use my imagination and swap the idea of people as enemies for diseases as enemies. So this is how I often pray these verses. Dear God, cancer and COVID-19, they are like enemies in our bodies. Break off the fangs of this disease. May the virus in their body disappear like water soaking it in the ground. Make it useless in their bodies. Heal them. There's my third page. So, now that we have created these 3 pages, I'm going to come back. Hello. Now that we've created these 3 pages, we're going to be inspired by a really fun and cool book called Wreck This Journal. And we're going to deal with these pages in ways that remind us of spiritual ideas. So the first one is called Bring the Light. So take the 3rd page that you did about the violent psalm verses. And we're going to bring the light. Because in the Bible, Jesus is called the light of the world. And how are we going to do that? Poke holes in it. Take your whatever you wrote with, your pencil, your pen, and bring light to what? To our page. So there. We've brought light. Now number 2. The Lord's Supper. We eat the bread and we drink the juice to remind us that Jesus loved us enough to die for us. So, take the sad psalm page and treat it like bread and eat it. All right, don't really eat it. Don't swallow it, that's yucky. But chew it up and spit it out. Now for the 3rd. This is where it gets messy. The Bible talks about Jesus giving us living water that satisfies us more than our physical thirst. So, take the little lamb page and turn it into a cup. I'm going to fold mine. You could turn it, I've seen kids turn it into a funnel. I'm going to fold mine and try to turn it into a little thing like this. And then pour some water into it and try to drink out of it. This is the messy part. Oh! Don't spill on your electronics. Let's do that again. That worked. Oh! That worked better than I thought it would. Well, I hope that you had fun and that I hope that you feel inspired and able to pray any psalm that you might read or that your grown-up might read with you.